All right, and we are live. Welcome in, everybody. For this Saturday slate, we got lots to go over, even though it's a smaller slate. Only a 5-gamer, but plenty of stuff to review here. Plenty of edge to be had. We got a little bit of news with DeAndre Ayton being ruled out already on the Phoenix side of things. So that's going to definitely open up some value for us in Frank Kaminsky and JaVale McGee. So that'd be the biggest slate news so far. We're still waiting on some other stuff that could certainly shake some things up here as far as overall on the slate. Donovan Mitchell listed as questionable. Kyle Lowry listed as questionable in the 7:30 game. So the good news is that we should have that news before lock, you would think. So hopefully we'll be able to adjust our lineups accordingly. We shouldn't have much of an issue as far as knowing what's going on there. And then, of course, if there is no Donovan Mitchell in this one, then that's going to be a big usage bump to the Utah side of things. If there's no Kyle Lowry, that's going to be a big usage bump to the Miami side of things with a few guys in, Jimmy Butler and specifically Tyler Hero taking a big step forward. And then, of course, Mike Conley would be taking a big step forward if there is no Donovan Mitchell. So that's certainly going to be some news worth monitoring leading up until lock. Patrick says, what's up, KJK? How you doing? Doing good, Patrick. How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. Smaller slate, but feel free to ask all the questions you have, and we'll certainly help you out. Leading up until lock. Right now, for the most part, it seems a little bit straightforward. We already got confirmation that LeBron's out for LA, so of course that's going to get a big boost up to Westbrook and Davis. But Davis is listed as questionable now, so that's certainly something to take note of, and that'll have a big impact on the slate as well. That's the late game. So probably wanting to leave ourselves some flexibility as to being able to adjust our lineups for that news, because if Anthony Davis does indeed get ruled out, that's going to, of course, open up some more usage for some guys like a Carmelo Anthony, like a Kent Bazemore, and like a Dwight Howard, of course. And then Russell Westbrook would also become that much better of a play at his 10-9 price tag over here on DraftKings and on FanDuel. Same thing would apply for him. Atlanta Phoenix, just really the DeAndre Ayton news. We do have Bogdanovich listed as questionable, but he is more so probable, so I'm not really expecting that to be much of an issue. Boston, Dallas, we already got confirmation that Jaylen Brown's out. We are waiting on the Kristaps Porzingis news, however, so that's certainly something to note as well. He participated in Friday's practice, and so with that being said, I would tend to think he'll probably be good for this one. So that's certainly going to shake some things up in the Dallas side of things, cause a little bit of some usage decreases for some of these guys that have been seeing a bump. No more Dwight Powell. Jalen Brunson's going to take a hit in his usage. For sure. And then, of course, Luka Doncic being the number one usage guy overall in the offense, having to share that with Kristaps Porzingis, it could certainly affect him a little bit as well. So I would expect Kristaps to be back for this one. So that's certainly going to shake some things up. And then Philly, Chicago, we continue to be without Tobias Harris, without Ben Simmons. Kobe White's been out. And then we have Furkan Korkmaz and Danny Green, both listed as questionable. And we already got confirmation that Matisse Thybulle is going to be ruled out because of the COVID-19 protocols. So depending upon that Danny Green and Korkmaz news, that could certainly open up even more usage on this Philadelphia side of things. We could be looking to more plays of a Gorgeous Niang and also a Shake Milton at the guard position on this Philly side of things. So for only a 5-gamer, we certainly do have some news that could shake some things up here. So we'll definitely want to be monitoring that. Ronald asks, who's in play in the Atlanta-Phoenix game? All right, well, we talked about it a little bit already, but with DeAndre Ayton being out, that's certainly going to open up some minutes and usage for Frank Kaminsky and JaVale McGee, so I'd look at them as both being in play for sure at their cheap price tags. That's also going to directly affect Jay Crowder as well, though, because Jay Crowder is going to have a lot more rebounding upside down low. Saw him have a big game last time DeAndre Ayton was out. I certainly think that could continue to be the case with him. Sitting next to JaVale McGee, he's going to have a lot more room for rebounding upside. And then, of course, Frank Kaminsky off the bench. So that's certainly where I would start in that Phoenix Suns game. And then as far as from an upside aspect, it's really simple as far as where the usage is going to be flowing. John Collins is listed as questionable in this one, though, so that's certainly big news. That's going to open up some more usage in minutes on the Atlanta side of things as well. If he continues to be out, or if he is out, that's going to be much more of an upside spot for Clint Capella because he's not going to be battling for boards on the glass with John Collins. So he would become much more viable play. And then you're going to see some of these guys that may have not been seeing the most amount of minutes probably going to boost up in minutes. Guys like Cam Reddish, guys like DeAndre Hunter, guys like Kevin Huerter, Danilo Gallinari. All minutes going to be filtering and kind of going to them from the wing position if there is no John Collins. Especially Danilo Gallinari at only 3.6. I would tend to think that he kind of fits the mold well to be filing in there. And we've already seen DeAndre Hunter playing around 30 minutes a game. So if DeAndre Hunter continues to see that amount of minutes, I think it's just a matter of time before he certainly has a big game. And like I said, John Collins being out would certainly help that. So waiting on a little bit of injury news there. But then on the other side of things, it's really simple. It's really straightforward as far as Phoenix is concerned. We talked about those value plays. Then you got Devin Booker and Chris Paul, both on-ball, heavy handling usage guys on the Phoenix side of things that could certainly be put in your lineup. So that's kind of who I'd be looking to on the Phoenix-Atlanta game for sure. Once we get that news, that'll clarify a little bit more for us, and we'll be able to expand a little bit further on who we really, really like there. Patrick asks, with the Lakers going big, if Anthony Davis plays, could Nurkic's minutes increase? I don't really think so. I mean, they're certainly going to need him out there, but Nurkic's minutes have been pretty solid overall. He's been right around like 28 minutes in competitive games. I tend to think that's probably right where he'll sit. 26, 28 minutes or so for Nurkic. And they also have some other guys that could handle Anthony Davis on their roster as well. Guys like a Robert Covington. I mean, don't get me wrong. I say handle Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is one of the best players on the planet, so it's not exactly going to be the easiest, but if there's a guy that has a pretty good shot at it, Robert Covington's definitely up there because he's just a really good defender down low. He's pretty agile. He can go out in the wings and guard Anthony Davis, who can also shoot the three ball a little bit. And then they have Larry Nance Jr. off the bench, Cody Zeller off the bench. That could certainly step in and handle a little bit of that as well. But you do make a good point, Patrick, that if we do get confirmation that Anthony Davis is out, that could certainly shake up some of these rotations. It could go a little bit smaller. That might impact us a little bit more. But then again, it's going to be Dwight Howard, filling in for him. So it's kind of the same lineup rolled out there from a size aspect, no matter what I would tend to think. So yeah, guys, as you're filing in here, looks like we got some more people joining. If you're enjoying the content, if you could take a moment to leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. I've been doing these streams as much as possible. I think we've done these 4 or 5 days in a row now. I'm going to continue to do them as much as my work schedule allows me to. Trying to give you guys the most value leading up until lock, my top plays. I'll answer any of your questions regarding DraftKings and FanDuel. Do cover both websites. If you didn't watch my video earlier, my lock of the night tonight is going to be Dennis Schroeder. So obviously, I'm very high on Dennis Schroeder tonight. He's only 5.4 on DraftKings. There's no more Jaylen Brown. He should get a big bump up in his usage. And then when you factor in over on FanDuel, his price tag as well, he's only 6K. I just think this guy's going to take a huge step forward with there being no Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum dominate a lot of the usage in this offense, and I certainly think that Jason Tatum's going to have a lot more upside now, but the fact of the matter is Dennis Schroeder should be able to slide right in behind Jaylen Brown, be able to handle quite a bit of usage, and when he does, being that he's priced so cheap across the industry, I think he's just going to absolutely blow this price tag away tonight. So Dennis Schroeder is my lock of the night, and I will certainly be having lots of interest, lots of exposure to Mr. Schroeder for sure on both sites. Patrick says, thanks for your data cheat sheet and content. Helped me cash big last night. No problem, Patrick. Yeah, I gave Patrick a shout out. Patrick was able to turn $12 into $200 last night. I saw him in the Discord chat in the premium. So congratulations, Patrick. Keep it up, man. We're going to continue to stay hot in that KJK DFS Discord. If you are interested in some premium content from me, guys, I do offer that. That's linked below in the description. You get access to all my projections, the Discord chat, all my tools. I have a bunch over here. Offense half-court putbacks, defense half-court putbacks, offense transition, defense transition. One thing I've been doing is trying to pull up a little bit of the behind-the-scenes content for you guys on the live stream just to give you an idea of what you're kind of missing out on. If you're not a Patreon member, one of these sheets that I offer, this is my defensive shooting accuracy sheet. So I do offer this for all sorts of different aspects. I'm only going to show you this one because it's behind the paywall. I put a lot of effort into this, but defensive shooting accuracy. So this sheet specifically is telling you what opposing teams have been giving up to, or I'm sorry, what defenses have been giving up to opposing teams. So if you take a look at the sheet here, you can see the mid-range, the corner three, the non-corner three, all three-pointers, around the rim, short, mid-range, etc., to be able to kind of dial in on what teams are really struggling against. So for tonight, let's see. If we go ahead and look at some of these teams. Dallas. So we'll just go ahead and highlight Dallas. So for instance, if you're a Patreon member of mine, you can go on right over to this sheet. This is only being one of the, I don't even know how many sheets I have on here. Upwards of like 20 probably. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 tabs exactly. So not upwards of 20. I'm exaggerating a little bit there. But point being, go ahead and go over here to Dallas. You can see they rank 25th in rim rank. So what does that mean? That means that they're giving up lots of points around the rim. 67.5% from the field around the rim. So they've really been struggling on interior scores. So you go on over to the matchup today. You look at who they're taking on. For Dallas, they're taking on the Boston Celtics. What does that mean? That means there's going to be plenty of opportunity for Robert Williams, Al Horford to go in around the rim, finish around the rim, and get plenty of points. And that's just one example of a sheet that I offer. There's a lot more to that. There's defense transition. There's offense transition. A whole bunch of good stuff in there. So there's a little bit of a free sneak peek for you. If you are interested, go ahead and check that out. Link below in the description. It's $19.99 a month, and I think that's a very reasonable price, and to be quite frank with you, I think you can make back what you're investing in that package in literally a night. So, you sign up for the premium package, you get access to all my projections, you can ask me questions all the way up until lock, and something tells me you're going to be able to make that $19.99 back pretty quickly using my tools. So, certainly could check that out if you're interested. If you're just playing DFS for fun, NBA DFS for fun, and you're not really playing a lot of money, I always say, don't buy the package unless you're just trying to show support. Then I appreciate that too, but I'm not trying to convince you really need it unless you're playing every night. But if you are playing every night, I really do think it could help you in a big way. If you're just playing for fun, free content on the channel all the time, so no worries. So do a little bit of a game by game here, guys. We've done it a little bit, but we got some guys filing in here, maybe some people missing out on the initial game by game breakdown. Utah Miami, it's only 5-gamer. We're waiting on the Donovan Mitchell and Kyle Lowry news. That's certainly going to be big news. If one of these guys is out, that's going to impact both sides pretty tremendously here. One thing I will say, speaking of my Patreon package, both of these teams grading out as very good defensive teams so far on the season. They are number 1 and number 2 on my sheet as far as effective field goal percentage given up, and also number 2 and number 3 as far as points per possession rank. So this game's going to be a real good defensive battle. And really the only thing I think that's going to kind of intrigue me a little bit is if Lowry or Mitchell is out. If Mitchell's out, of course, it's going to give a big bump to Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson mainly. Both those guys will take on a lot more on-ball handling responsibilities, get a big bump up in usage. Donovan Mitchell's usage has been very, very high this year. Looking at my advanced player metrics stats, he currently leads the league in usage, does Donovan Mitchell, which might not be something that people quite think when they think of the top usage leaders in the league, but that just so happens to be the case. And Utah's been healthy, so Donovan Mitchell is just really taking it upon himself to lead this team this year in a very heavy volume way. I was watching a game too. It's just like he's shooting every single time. It seems like Donovan Mitchell so far in the season. So he's been really aggressive. And that would certainly make a big impact on the usage, the rotations, etc. on the Utah side of things if he's out. Miami, of course, if there's no Kyle Lowry, that's going to be a big bump up to Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero. So that's the big thing on that first game. Second game, Philly taking on Chicago. Like I said, Joel Embiid continues to be a usage beast, especially with there being no Tobias Harris. I think it's just a matter of time before he has a big game. He continues to be disappointing. I've been burnt by him every single time I played him. So naturally, it would only make sense that I keep playing him because that's how DFS works. You just got to kind of take your losses and try to keep going back to the well, because the second you don't go back to the well is the time the guy goes off. And if he's continually failing, his ownership's going to continue to go down. If his ownership's low and you play him in tournaments, you might be finding that you can make some big bucks on that night, some big money. So you just got to kind of go with the flow and keep playing him. On the Chicago side of things, DeMar DeRozan continues to be my favorite play at 8-3. He's just really fit in well to this team. He's put up 32, 37, and 37 points the last couple times out. Only problem with DeMar DeRozan is he is pretty scoring reliant. Like the fact that he went out there and scored 37 points the last 2 times out, and he only put up 52 and 53 DraftKings points. I use the term only because a lot of those points are coming as a direct result of scoring buckets. That's kind of concerning. You'd like to see him get a little bit more assists, a little bit more rebounds, be a little bit well-diversed in his fantasy point scoring because you never know when he's going to have a bad shooting night. But the fact remains that he's just continuing to play very, very well. So certainly have some interest in DeMar DeRozan. Boston taking on Dallas. I already made it known that I love Dennis Schroeder for sure. Just underpriced. He's my lock of the night. Get him in your lineups. Love him. I also think Marcus Smart's going to give a big bump up with there being no Jaylen Brown. I also think Jason Tatum's going to give a big bump up. You can make an argument for Al Horford and Robert Williams. As I discussed, the Dallas team really struggling on the defensive glass. So there should be plenty of opportunity. And really struggling at allowing buckets around the rim is what it comes down to too, as far as what I showed you guys on my sheet there. So they're certainly giving up lots of points around the rim. That could certainly help out Mr. Al Horford and Mr. Robert Williams. Robert Williams continues to grade out as a great play for me every single night. He hasn't had the biggest of nights as of late, but the fact of the matter is he's priced cheap, and Robert Williams produces at a very high rate. So it's just a matter of time before he just absolutely blows this price tag away. So not grading out quite as well as he has the past previous nights for me, though. I think my projections are starting to dial in a little bit to his new output with Al Horford kind of affecting him a little bit. But I certainly still do have interest in Robert Williams here. And as we continue to go along, Atlanta Phoenix, we already got news DeAndre Ayton's out. So DeAndre Ayton out, that's going to be some big Frank Kaminsky, some big JaVale McGee bump, some Jay Crowder bump. Certainly some Devin Booker and Chris Paul bumps just naturally because they're just going to take on even more usage than they already were. And lastly, the Lakers game. Westbrook, absolutely great play. Becomes an even better play if there's no Anthony Davis. Certainly leaves some flexibility in your lineups to be able to adjust if there is no Anthony Davis because that's going to affect a lot of other guys as well. Kent Bazemore, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, etc. So yeah, guys, leave any questions you have in the chat. Please ask any and all questions. I want this to be interactive, so I will gladly answer your questions. If you don't have any and you feel like I've covered all the bases already, I could sign off, but I have a feeling that's not the case. There's probably lots of people thinking or having questions out there, so I'll gladly answer them. Let's see. Patrick says I'm going back to Embiid too. Yeah, Patrick, we just got to keep kind of biting off more than we can chew with the Joel Embiid thing, but what are you going to do? It makes sense. The guy's just going to continue to see a bunch of usage with there being no Tobias Harris. I would tend to think it's just a matter of time before Embiid puts up 60 plus. I mean, that's the kind of upside that he has. Last time his big game was 59 against the Detroit Pistons. They made it a big priority to stop him last time. I had a lot of exposure to Joel Embiid. I was watching the game, and they were very clearly doubling him on every single play. They would pass him in the post, and they were doubling him. So if teams are going to continue to do that, we can't really control how teams scheme. But I would tend to think eventually Joel Embiid's going to get his way because you can only double team for so long. He was dishing it out to Seth Curry, who can absolutely drain the three ball, Tyrese Maxey. If they're going to just keep doubling him, he's just going to keep passing around, and teams are going to lose that way. So we just got some news on Kyle Lowry. He's expected to play. So that's certainly a big piece of news. So that's not going to make me like playing the Heat side quite as much, especially like I said, both these teams are very, very good defensively. This Utah-Miami game is going to be a real battle of defensive strength. So it's not exactly projected to be the most gold mine of a fantasy point environment. For that reason, I'd probably not want to have too much interest in targeting too many guys from this game. Tap My Life says, super late to the live. Who's the lock of the night? My lock of the night tonight, Tap My Life, is Dennis Schroeder on the Boston Celtics. Absolutely love Dennis Schroeder tonight. Taking on this Dallas squad. They have not been good defensively. There's no more Jaylen Brown. He's going to see a big bump up in usage. And I'm not worried whatsoever about Dallas slowing him down. Dallas ranks 18th in points per possession on my sheet. As far as transition is concerned for Dallas, they've been allowing quite a bit of transition opportunities as well. And in the half court setting, they're certainly allowing quite a bit of points. They rank 20th in points per play rank in the half court setting. So I certainly do like Dennis Schroeder. And the fact of the matter is, this guy's a high, heavy usage guy. Take out Jaylen Brown, he's going to get even more usage. And he's just too underpriced, is what I was trying to say. Sorry, I don't know why my mind went blank there. But, he's not priced anticipated to have Jaylen Brown out. If he's expected to start at the point guard position. A starting point guard for 5'4" and 6K on FanDuel that is currently producing 0.98 DraftKings points per minute. Then you go over to FanDuel, currently producing 0.96 FanDuel points per minute. He does it all. He'll get you blocks, he'll get you steals, he will score you points, he'll get you assists. Dennis Schroeder is a great play tonight, and he's my lock of the night. Yeah, Time My Life says I play FanDuel. Yeah, man. Love that you reference both DraftKings and FanDuel. Yeah, I like him on both. I like him more on DraftKings just because he's cheaper. I mean, naturally, more bang for your buck. But the fact of the matter is I like him on both websites here. So, Ronald asks, is he a lock for cash, GPP, or both? I'd say he's a lock for both. He's just that good of a play. If he was priced more appropriately, then I would be more on the GPP side of things, and I would tell you can't really play him in cash games. But the fact of the matter is he's not priced for Jaylen Brown being out. So I certainly think he's a great cash play as well. Patrick asks, what do you think about Clint Capella and CJ McCollum? Clint Capella I like him even more if John Collins gets ruled out. So that's some big news that we're waiting on. If there is no John Collins, I'm certainly going to like him a lot more. But the fact of the matter is DeAndre Ayton also got ruled out. That's going to put JaVale McGee in the game and also some more Frank Kaminsky minutes. And that's a big defensive downgrade. Not that DeAndre Ayton's a very good rim protector. Traditionally, he hasn't been very good defensively. But I do think he's taken some steps forward. And I think JaVale McGee is a much easier matchup for Clint Capella than John Collins was. So that's certainly a big piece of news for Clint Capella's matchup. So I certainly do like Clint Capella. And who's the other guy I asked about? CJ McCollum. I do like CJ McCollum a lot as well. Specifically on DraftKings because you get a big discount on him from Damian Lillard. And they've been producing at about the same rates. He's only 7.9. Damian Lillard's priced all the way up to 9.4. If you're an NBA fan or if you've been playing NBA DFS for quite some time, you probably know that Damian Lillard is famous for getting off to slow starts in the season. Now, that's kind of an anecdotal data thing, which if you don't know what anecdotal data means, I guess it's just a fancy word for saying taking in things that occur over and over again and just noticing it. I mean, the numbers will back you up as well in sports, but just realizing like, oh, this guy always goes off in the second half, or this guy always, just taking that in by simply watching the games. And Damian Lillard, certainly a guy that gets off to a slow start, and he's just overpriced. I certainly like CJ McCollum quite a bit more. Now, that's a little bit of a different scoring format, though, than FanDuel. On FanDuel, things get a little bit different because it's not quite as scoring reliant on FanDuel to get your points. And then when you're looking at the price tags for both of these guys, CJ McCollum's 8K and Damian Lillard's 8.6. So it becomes much closer over here on FanDuel as to my preference. But on DraftKings specifically, I think I'd much rather play CJ McCollum. FanDuel, I think you can play both of them. Ronald says, Bojan Bogdanovic, Jay Crowder, or Niang, which do you like more? Well, that's kind of hard to answer right now because I'm certainly going to like Niang a lot more if there is no Furkan Korkmaz and Danny Green. So I can't really answer that question right now because this is kind of two big pieces of news. I mean, we already got confirmation that Matisse Thybulle's out, though, so that's certainly going to give a big bump up to Niang as is. But if both those guys are out as well, then Niang just becomes an absolute smash play at his respective price tag across the industry. He's just going to be too cheap. He's been producing at a very high rate. Playing 31, 32, and 32 minutes the last few times out at only 4.7 on DraftKings. I'm certainly going to have quite a bit of interest in him. The more Philadelphia Sixers guys that get ruled out, I'll be liking him more and more. And then, of course, Shake Milton as well on this Philadelphia 76ers side of things will become a much better play. If we do get confirmation that those guards are out, he's going to have to step in and take on a lot more responsibility. Then Maxey and Curry will get big bumps up as well. And then Bojan Bogdanovic, the same thing's going to apply for him because we're waiting on Donovan Mitchell news. So until we get confirmation that Donovan Mitchell is either in or out, I can't really confirm how much I like those plays. So sorry not to be able to fully answer your question, but that's the truth. Those things are certainly going to impact those guys. Nicholas asks, Brunson viable if Kristaps is back? Yeah, he's viable. I'm certainly going to have a lot less interest, though, because the fact of the matter is his price tag keeps climbing, and it's climbing because Kristaps has been out. He's 5'6" on DraftKings, which is still pretty cheap, to be honest. Let's check his FanDuel price tag over here on FanDuel for Mr. Jalen Brunson. He's 5'2". Yeah, he's still viable. But the fact of the matter is, if Kristaps comes back, I think he's going to take quite a big hit. So I'd certainly have a lot more interest if Kristaps is out in this one. And we're also waiting on some Reggie Bullock news. Apparently, he's good to go. I don't think that's going to impact Brunson too much, though. So yeah, he's viable, but I think that he takes a big hit if Kristaps is back. All right, guys, look like we got about 18 people in the live stream. We got 8 likes. If you've been enjoying the stream, you're enjoying the content, the value or advice I'm giving you, if you could take a 1 second to leave a like on this video, that'd be awesome, guys. It's free. It takes 2 seconds to do. I'll be chilling with you guys up until 6:30. I've been trying to do these live streams as much as possible. And I'm going to continue to try to do them every night as much as possible. There's some stuff conflicting with my schedule and work. I know Mondays are probably going to be kind of impossible to be doing these live streams, so I'm sorry for that. I would do them every night if possible. Probably this upcoming week, I know Monday I won't be able to do it, and Wednesday I won't be able to do it because I got a lot of other stuff going on in my other job, other side of my life. Tap My Life says, McGee, do you like him? Yeah, I like McGee. When it comes to McGee and Kaminsky, as far as filling in for DeAndre Ayton, it's certainly going to come down to a matchup aspect. And the thing is, as it stands right now, John Collins and Clint Capella both playing, I like JaVale McGee a lot more because that's 2 bigs. If we get confirmation that John Collins is out, I'm going to have to give him a slight downgrade because they might not need him on the floor quite as much. But regardless, taking on a guy like a Clint Capella, I think JaVale McGee is going to be kind of needed to square up against him. Frank Kaminsky is going to have a real tough time guarding a guy like a Clint Capella. So long story short, I certainly think that JaVale McGee is a good play and a good value. Patrick says Lowry's in. Yeah, Lowry is in. Yep. So we got confirmation on that. That Utah-Miami game as is going to be a terrible game environment. Both those teams are just tremendous defensively. I mean, looking at some of my half-court putbacks, tools, defensive transition stats, all this stuff over here on my Patreon package, like they're really grading out as a very tough defense to be taking on in the early going, both sides. So I'm not really too intrigued to be targeting that game overall. I'd certainly rather go to some of these other games. I mean, looking at the over-unders, from a total slate aspect, it's a 222.5 in the late game, a 221.5 in the other late game. The Chicago Bulls game is decently higher total. I mean, it's only 5 points. All these totals have been way down on the season, but the fact of the matter is both of those teams are really good defensively, and if they're fully healthy, the usage is going to be kind of cut into each other too. Like Kyle Lowry being in does not help the usage for Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. I would much rather be targeting guys in other games, such as the Boston Celtics, who are no longer with Jaylen Brown, Dennis Schroeder, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum. We talked about the big guys on the Celtics side as well, having a very good matchup, taking on the front court of Dallas, who's been giving up a bunch of rebounds. Now, keep in mind, Kristaps Porzingis hasn't been in the game for many of these games, so that's certainly going to help their case. That could be a big part as to why their statistics aren't looking all that great on the glass. If he's back, that's going to impact those big guys a little bit more. But as far as Jason Tatum and my lock of the night in Dennis Schroeder, both those guys should still be able to take care of their business. I'm certainly going to like both those guys And make sure you're getting some Dennis Schroeder in your lineups because he's my lock of the night. He's in a big up-tempo, big uptick in usage spot here. There's no more Jaylen Brown. He's going to really be able to step into this role and fill in nicely, I think. So I have some big interest in Dennis Schroeder tonight. Fernando says, what's going on with Collins? Well, I can tell you right now. I think it was a leg injury. I'm not sure. Let's pull it up. His foot. He's questionable with a foot injury. So strained left foot might hold him out. That's what's going on with him. So we're waiting on that news. That's certainly going to open up some more usage and some more minutes in the rotation. And we just got some news on Donovan Mitchell. So Donovan Mitchell is going to be in as well in this game. So I got to be honest, guys. This first game on the slate, I'm really not liking targeting all that much. We have so many other spots. Both these teams are really good defensively in the Utah Jazz and the Miami Heat. And I just don't think this is going to be the best game environment. And now the value that we thought we might possibly have with guys like a Donovan Mitchell and a Kyle Lowry possibly being out, we no longer have. They're both going to be in. So I'm going to have very minimal interest in this first game. We're also waiting on some news in the Philly game. Furkan Korkmaz and Danny Green. So I'd rather wait for that news to be released to have my lineups in. We're waiting on Kristaps Porzingis. We're waiting on Anthony Davis. This is all big pieces of news. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think it's a terrible idea to just be completely fading this first game. I really don't. Looking at my projections, is there anyone that's really popping where I stand right now that I need in this game? No. Not at all. The closest, based on a strictly upside at his price tag possibility, would be Duncan Robinson. And with Kyle Lowry in the game, I'm still kind of somewhat limited interest in him. It's just the fact that he's 4,100. He can shoot the three ball if he does get hot from behind the three-point arc. He shot 17 three-pointers last time out. So, you know, if he's able to sink a bunch of those, he could certainly pay off with this price tag on DraftKings specifically. So that's the only reason he's kind of popping a little bit for me. But other than that, guys, I mean, I'm really not interested in anyone in this game. Kyle Lowry continues to be very cheaply priced on FanDuel. So I guess you can make an argument for him over here. He's only 5'9". So I guess FanDuel is kind of forcing your hand to have some interest in Kyle Lowry because he's just that cheap. But it's just a terrible environment. The fact that you even have to debate on it kind of sucks. But, I mean, FanDuel's making you debate on it. So they truly are making you debate on it. So if you want to go to... If you want to go to a Kyle Lowry on FanDuel, I don't think that you're crazy. I don't think you're crazy. But other than that, not too intrigued to be targeting this first game. Really not the best game environment. So I certainly would have interest in targeting other games on this slate today. All right, guys. Looks like there's about 20 people in this stream. If you could take a second to leave a like on the stream if you're enjoying it, that'd be great. Trying to get to 20 likes, guys. Never gotten to 20 likes on my stream, so I'll be here trying to stream with you guys as much as possible, providing you as much valuable content as possible throughout the season. I do offer an NBA DFS premium package that's linked below in the description, where you can get access to all of my tools, my projections, direct access to me to ask me questions up until lock, and all of my sheets, which I think will provide you with lots of valuable insight. I'm going to continue to keep an eye on the questions in the chat. Feel free to ask any and all questions. I'm gladly going to answer them. It's a little bit of a short slate, so we got through the game-by-game breakdown pretty quickly, but I will certainly answer any questions you have. I do talk about FanDuel and DraftKings, as mentioned by someone commenting, saying thank you for covering both. No problem. I appreciate you shouting me out for that. I do try to cover as much as I can across the industry for you guys. So if you have a Prize Picks account, you can certainly sign up with my promo code as well. Use promo code KJK DFS to receive a deposit match up to $100 when you deposit over on Prize Picks. And you can use the stuff that we go over in this stream to pick yourself some winners. Because For instance, my lock of the night in Dennis Schroeder tonight, I would have loved to go over to Prize Picks and place a wager on the over on his lines because I think Dennis Schroeder is going to have a great night. That's also linked below in the description. If you're into that stuff, if you play specifically FanDuel or DraftKings, feel free to ask any questions. Let me know what kind of tournament you're playing, or if you're playing cash games, what you're up to, and I will gladly answer what you can do. One thing I would certainly be doing in your lineups tonight, guys, is to try to allow yourself some flexibility for some late swap. We are waiting on some news for Anthony Davis. That's now listed as questionable. My advice, if you're playing on DraftKings and FanDuel, but specifically DraftKings, try to leave your guard forward in utility spots flexible for those late games. So we're just going to go ahead and fill up these slots to give you a visual. If I'm building my lineup and I have my point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center positions, guys that I really like in these earlier games, possibly. Maybe I like, playing a Joel Embiid at the center position, or a Dennis Schroeder like I talked about loving on this slate, and a Jason Tatum, who I certainly think is a great play on this slate. Maybe I want to play them in the earlier games. Go ahead and leave yourself some flexibility in the guard forward and utility spots, because you're going to want that flexibility to be able to change, because if Anthony Davis gets ruled out, or if he's in, that's going to impact us. So great example would be putting Anthony Davis in your forward spot, putting maybe a Russell Westbrook in your guard spot, and then having the flexibility to be able to change that around if you do like all these guys in the earlier games. Because if you get stuck with your hands tied with positional eligibility in the late games, and we get to confirmation that Anthony Davis is out, and you really want to pivot to guys like maybe a Carmelo Anthony, a Kent Bazemore, a Dwight Howard, you're not going to be able to do so if you don't have some flexibility in your lineup. So we want to make sure that we have some flexibility. We'll be able to switch. You get an edge on the field. That's how you win the big bucks. And that's a great advanced strategy insight for me for free for you, because trust me, you'll thank me later. You're going to want to leave some flexibility in those guard forward spots if at all possible. LeBron being listed as out. Big time upside for Russell Westbrook. Big time upside for Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis is out and it's just Russell Westbrook, he becomes the #1 play on the slate. And I love some Russell Westbrook. Savon asks, playing a single game entry, thoughts on Robert Williams for cash games on FanDuel? Yeah, I always have a lot of interest in Robert Williams on FanDuel, strictly because of his block upside. On FanDuel, you get the 3 points for blocks and steals. Robert Williams is notorious for getting both blocks and steals. Guy's an absolute beast in that category. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet, if I took a look at my advanced metric sheets over here on my premium content, that he's grading out as one of the best in the blocks and steals category on the season, because he seems like he always is, because he's that good. Let's take a look here. As far as my leaders in blocks and steals, so how I grade this out is it's blocks percentage, the total percentage of blocks of the team, and how many they're getting. Robert Williams, shocker, he's right up there. So like I said, as I anticipated, he's way up there. He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th. 13th in the league in block percentage, and his teammate Al Horford is 2nd in the league in blocks percentage on my advanced metric tool over here on Patreon. So certainly have interest in Robert Williams on FanDuel. Certainly has a lot of upside. He produces at a high rate, and he'll get you plenty of blocks and steals on FanDuel, where you get 3 points for every block and steal. I certainly do like Robert Williams. Savon says, I love CP3 today. Yeah, I like CP3. I would say I like some other point guard options a little bit better. Specifically my lock of the night and Dennis Schroeder at his respective price tag. I just think he's a tremendous play. So I certainly love Dennis Schroeder, and I certainly like Russell Westbrook a lot, with there being no LeBron James. So if you could fit CP3 in with those two guys, sure, I don't mind it. But honestly, those two guys would be the top point guard options for me on this slate tonight. Certainly love Dennis Schroeder. Certainly love Russell Westbrook. All right, guys, let me know if you have any more questions. I'm going to stick around till 6:30, maybe even a little bit longer if you want me to. I mean, we have the 7:30 lock, which I kind of forgot about. I'm so accustomed to going live at 5:30 now, but maybe I can stick around for even longer. If you're continuing to ask questions, I have no issues with it. I always try to give myself a half an hour to update my projections, answer any questions that my Patreon premium members have in the Discord chat, because they're obviously showing their support by purchasing my product, and I want to make sure that they're getting the top plays in their lineup. I have to upgrade my core plays. If you're new to the stream, if you're new to the channel, if you could please leave a like on the stream, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'm trying to get to that 20 likes threshold for the first time. Right now we're at 16, so if we get to 20, that'd be greatly appreciated, guys. I'll answer any questions you have, any game strategy, game theory questions you have. I'm gladly here to answer. If you have a question on FanDuel or DraftKings, I'll gladly answer. I'll answer anything you got. And hit that subscribe button if you are not subscribed to the channel. It goes a long way to help me out. I'll be here all NBA DFS season long, breaking down these NBA slates, help you guys win some money, help you guys become better NBA DFS players. Let's see if we have any more news. I don't think we will. We already got confirmation on Donovan Mitchell. We already got confirmation on Kyle Lowry. Both guys in. That's going to hurt my interest in this first game. If you're just joining the stream, I think this first game is the worst game on the slate. Both these teams are tremendous defensively. Both these teams, we just got confirmation, are fully healthy. They're going to have deep rotations. On the Heat side of things, Lowry, Butler, Adebayo are going to be fighting with each other for usage. On the Utah side of things, Conley, Mitchell, Bojan, Rudy Gobert, all going to be fighting for usage. If I had to pick which side I like better, I would certainly like the Miami Heat side better. I mean, you look at the Jazz side, they have Conley, Mitchell, Bogdanovich, Rudy Gobert, all guys that are kind of digging each other's usage, and they have Clarkson and Ingles. Whereas the Heat, you have Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. Duncan Robinson's really just a three-point shooter that can be a sharpshooter from the arc that they put in there, and PJ Tucker's really just a defensive piece that they put in there. So I would say I do have a lot more interest in Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo in this game than anyone. Those two guys certainly stand out the most. Fernando asks, what do you think about Tim Hardaway or Jalen Brunson? I think they're decent plays. I'm a little just concerned because I think that Kristaps Porzingis is going to return in this game, and that's going to impact everyone's usage a little bit. And everyone's price tags have been climbing because they've been without Porzingis, and they continue to produce at a higher rate. So I think they're decent plays. I don't know if you're playing on DraftKings or FanDuel, but I'm not getting too excited to be targeting those guys, to be honest with you. I just think there's a lot of other better options on this slate tonight. If you had to play something from the first game, who would it be? The big man. Yeah, so I just answered that. I think you probably asked it like right before I touched on it, but I would play Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. If I had to play from that first game. Those would be the two guys that I'm certainly the highest on. Fernando says FanDuel, Jalen Brunson, or Tim Hardaway. All right, well, we'll take a look just to double check and make sure that I wasn't talking about different pricing. 5-2 on FanDuel for Hardaway, and Jalen Brunson's pretty cheap over here too. Yeah, I mean, FanDuel's pricing is just so easy, though, at times. It's like they might look great, but that's partially because FanDuel is just really lenient with their pricing. They're still not really grading out as that good a place to me with Kristaps Porzingis in. As a matter of fact, if Kristaps Porzingis is a full go, where I have him graded out right now on FanDuel, he would be by far my favorite play from the Dallas side of things. He's 7K. That's just too cheap for a site like FanDuel where you get points for the blocks and steals. He can shoot the ball. He can rebound. If we get confirmation that he's not limited and he's going to be playing right now, I've got him projected for 28 minutes. And he's grading out as a tremendous play for me. So, Kristaps Porzingis would certainly be my favorite play from the Dallas side of things. And like I said, I think that's going to negatively impact those other guys on the Dallas side of the ball. Savon says, scared to pay for a salary. Guys like Butler, Tatum, and Luka. I don't want to get disappointed. Yeah, if you're paying for those guys, my two favorites by far would be Butler and Tatum, and my favorite would be Tatum. There's no Jaylen Brown now. Jason Tatum gets a big bump up in usage. I think Jason Tatum has some serious upside going forward with there being no Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's expected to be out for quite some time. I think you're going to see Jason Tatum kind of take the keys to the Ferrari, so to speak, of this offense and really take over. So out of those three guys, the guy that I would be least concerned of spending my salary on would be Jason Tatum. He's the thumbnail boy for a reason. Get some Jason Tatum in your lineups because Mr. Jason Tatum's going to have some big games coming up here. He's only put up 25 and 31, 33 DraftKings points the last 3 times out. Hopefully that keeps his ownership nice and low. Last game out was a blowout against Miami. Game before, bit of a blowout against Orlando. Game before against Chicago, just wasn't able to get it going after putting up 55 against Washington. If Jason Tatum's going to be low owned because of his recent performances, I will gladly take the low ownership Jason Tatum play and run with it. And I think we're going to get enough value, hopefully, on this slate to where we can do that. We already got confirmation on the Philadelphia side of things that Matisse Thybulle's been ruled out. That's going to open up some more minutes, especially if we get confirmation there's no Furkan Korkmaz and Danny Green. Go ahead and be tossing in a Shake Milton and a Gorgeous Yang in your lineup. Both cheap price tags, both very good fantasy point producers. I will gladly take that value. Toss in a Jason Tatum in my lineup. Toss in a Dennis Schroeder in my lineup. Toss in a Russell Westbrook in my lineup. Maybe toss in a Joel Embiid in my lineup. Feel pretty good about it. Fernando says, I like Shake Milton, ? Yeah, like I just said, that's going to really depend upon the Furkan Korkmaz news and the Danny Green news. They will be a direct correlation as to how many minutes, how many opportunities that those guys get. And it looks like Danny Green's probably going to return. Danny Green could be a great play. Over here on FanDuel, on DraftKings, he's 4K. If there's no Furkan Korkmaz and Danny Green comes back, let's see. On FanDuel, they got him priced at 4.2. Danny Green could be forced to take quite a bit of shots. He could certainly get you plenty of blocks and steals on FanDuel where you get the 3-point bonus. He's a very good defender, very active hands, good for those steals. So I think Danny Green could be a great play here. Savant says, NBA had a post with a list of good bench players. On that list was a few people. Carmelo, Simons, Jordan Clarkson, Tyler Hero. I was thinking about putting them all in lineup. Yeah, I wouldn't base your DFS lineups off articles on how good players are. If you don't really know much about the NBA, there's nothing wrong with informing yourself. But really, you're going to kind of want to do it based on injury news, points per minute production, the pace of the game, the over-under. These are all things you should really be thinking about. And then obviously the price tag of the player. So, those guys are all good players. But, for instance, the Tyler Hero tonight, I was going to have a lot of interest in Tyler Hero if there was no Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is now expected to play, so that's not going to make me have as much interest. And then as far as Carmelo Anthony, if there is no Anthony Davis in this late game, Carmelo Anthony is going to become a great play. He already is a pretty good play with there being no LeBron James. The guy's been absolutely smashing. He put up 39.5 DraftKings points last time. I had only a 5.3 price tag. He got a slight bump up to 5.8. As far as FanDuel is concerned for Mr. Carmelo Anthony and where they have him price tagged at, let's see, Carmelo Anthony, he's at 6.5. So FanDuel's done a much better job of pricing Carmelo Anthony up for his new role. Even with that being said, though, honestly, he's still in play, and if there's no Anthony Davis, he's certainly in play. So that's something to be keeping an eye on. Yeah, Carmelo, Ronald, I know you just asked right as soon as I got to it. But, yeah, I like Carmelo quite a bit. And like I said, if there is no Anthony Davis, I really like Carmelo. That's going to be a big bump up for him. So, if you're just joining the stream, which it looks like we have some people filing in that are new to the stream, I had mentioned if you're playing on DraftKings and or FanDuel, we're still waiting on some late news. So, try to keep your guard, forward, and utility spot open for some flexibility. If you're playing guys in these early games, in these spots that are a little bit less flexible in the point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center position, the guard, the forward, and the utility position are very flexible. So try to keep those spots for guys that are in later games so you can kind of pivot. So if you're playing guys in the 10 o'clock game, kind of try to keep them in there. If you're playing like a Russell Westbrook, try to keep him more towards the late game, and Anthony Davis. And that way, if Anthony Davis is in, obviously he's a tremendous play. But if Anthony Davis gets ruled out, you still have the flexibility to be able to maneuver your lineup around a little bit, be able to put in a Carmelo Anthony, and obviously the top plays. I mean, if Anthony Davis is out, that's some big piece of news. This guy soaks up a lot of usage, a lot of rebounds opportunities. We're going to have a Dwight Howard as a value play. We're going to have a Kent Bazemore that's going to be asked to take on more responsibility. We're going to have a Dwight Howard, a Wayne Ellington could even possibly get some more run, although he's a wing player, and a DeAndre Jordan. That's some big news. And then not to mention even a guy like Avery Bradley, who's already been seeing a bunch of minutes. He's only been putting up like 10, 16, 13 DraftKings points. You might think, oh, he's playing 32 minutes. He just doesn't do anything. If you take Anthony Davis out of the equation, there's a strong chance Avery Bradley's going to see a lot of the shots that he wasn't quite seeing before. And if he starts seeing those shots, those 16, 10 points can turn into 20, 30 points real quick. So that's some big news that we're waiting on. So certainly make sure that you're staying on top of your toes when it comes to that stuff, because that can go a long way for you, differentiating you from the field and getting you to the top of the field in your tournament lineups. All right, guys, if you're joining in the stream, if you enjoyed the content so far, if you could take a moment to leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. If we can get to 20 likes, that would be awesome. I'll be hanging out here. Plan was to streaming until 6:30, but like I said, if I still have questions in, I will gladly hang around a little bit longer to 7:30 lock. So I'll answer any questions you guys have, FanDuel or DraftKings. We could talk about some breaking news if we get anything else. And I'm here to help. So any and all questions you have, feel free to drop them in the chat. If you want to become a KJK DFS YouTube member, you can join. You get access to priority in my comments. It's really just a support thing, guys. If you don't want to, no worries at all. But that's something else I added. For you to be able to support me. And lastly, you can check out my premium package. That's linked below in the description. I would highly recommend that if you're really getting serious about NBA DFS. You get access to all my projections. If you just joined the stream, I showed this for free earlier, so I'll gladly show it to you guys for free. My defensive shooting accuracy sheet. This is an example of one of the sheets I offer over on my Patreon package. You can see the top teams as far as their defense and what they're allowing for shots from each team around the league. So you can see which teams are giving up the most points around the rim, which teams are giving up the most points in the mid-range, the three-point shot, and all that stuff. And that's just an example of one of the sheets I offer. So I'll leave that on the screen a little bit for a little bit longer so you guys can soak it in and give it to you for free. Try to give back to the people. Appreciate you guys tuning in. So I'll give you a little bit behind the scenes preview there. Is Big Frank a core play? I don't know who Big Frank is, William. If you could clarify who you're talking about. Big Frank. I don't really know. Oh, Big Frank, I'm guessing you're talking about Frank Kaminsky. So Frank Kaminsky, I don't think is a core play. I think that Frank Kaminsky is probably not going to get quite as much run in this game because if you look at the opposing team in the Atlanta Hawks, they have Clint Capella and John Collins. And the fact of the matter is Clint Capella, a guy that's a very tall center. Frank Kaminsky, a little bit more on the forward side of things as far as his size. Not going to probably match up the greatest against Clint Capella. So I'd be a little concerned to be all in on Frank Kaminsky. I think JaVale McGee could be relied on a little bit heavier in this game tonight. So yeah, Frank the Tank is the name I would have recognized a little bit more here. DeRozan interest on DK. Yeah, DJ, I talked about DeRozan earlier on the stream. I certainly have interest in him. The problem with him is that he's been very scoring reliant, and I think it's just a matter of time before he has a bad shooting game. If he has a bad shooting game, that's not going to quite pay off as much because he's put up 37 real-life points the last two times out. He's put up 52 and 53 DraftKings points. So that's great and all, but if he's not scoring 37 real-life points, that's going to turn into about 25 to 30 DraftKings points really quick. So he's a little too scoring reliant for my liking at times. So just keep that in mind. He's risky. He's certainly a great GPP play, but if you're playing cash, I'm not too sure that I would be all too high on DeMar DeRozan here. So that'd be my answer there. Brendan says, love John Collins. Yeah, John Collins, we're waiting on some injury news here. So John Collins would be a great play, possibly if he's in. Foot injury, he's questionable. If he's out, that's going to give a big bump up to Clint Capella. They're not going to be digging into each other's usage and rebounding upside against Phoenix. And then we talked about how DeAndre Ayton's out, so that's going to be a much better matchup for Clint Capella and John Collins. But yeah, if John Collins is a go here, I would be okay with you playing him in your lineups. I just probably wouldn't recommend playing John Collins and Clint Capella. It's a little bit of a conflict of interest for your lineups because you're going to be limiting your upside because these guys are direct impact to each other as far as their rebounding, their scoring upside around the rim. So I do like John Collins. I would not be playing him with Clint Capella. I'd be playing either one or the other if they're both in your lineups. And that would be my recommendation there. Lonzo, a good play on DK, Patrick asks. Yeah, Lonzo's a decent play. I continue to say he grades out pretty good in my projection model. The fact of the matter is, though, his actual production has been that great at 7-2. I mean, he's been putting up 21, 26, 28, 33 DraftKings points. That's just not that great at that price tag. Continues to see his price tag dip a little bit after being priced up to 7-7. He's always got triple-double upside. He does a great job of rebounding the ball, assisting. His scoring is really where he's been lacking, though, and kind of taking a back seat to these other guys. All the scoring is kind of going through Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic, which makes sense because those guys are all much more effective scorers than Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball does a great job of playing defense, contributing the ball to his teammates for assists, rebounding, but not exactly the top scorer in the league. All right. Any more questions here, guys? Feel free to leave them in the chat. Quick little check-in. We got 17 likes. If you're in the stream, you're enjoying it, if you could take a second to leave a like, that'd be awesome. I don't think we have any more news coming out quite yet. Nope. We did get the news that Donovan Mitchell and Kyle Lowry are both expected to be in here. That's certainly going to impact our lineups quite a bit as far as this first game. Like I said, this is by far my least favorite game. If I have to play guys from this game, it's going to be Jimmy Butler. It's going to be Bam Adebayo. I think they're very clearly going to be the top two options in this game based upon their usage and how their starting lineups formed here. I mean, you have Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, and Bam Adebayo, and then Duncan Robinson and PJ Tucker kind of as fill-in guys. So very clearly going to be going through them. And the other guy you could be playing is Tyler Hero off the bench. I guess I've kind of not really mentioned him. As a six-man, when he comes in off the bench, obviously he's going to have all the usage in the world. I just feel like he's priced a little bit appropriately, and the Utah Jazz defense is just really good. So not getting quite as excited to play Hero as I am on most nights here. All right, any more questions, guys? Leave them in the chat. It's 6:30 right now. I could kind of head out if you were feeling pretty good about where we're at as far as the slate breakdown. If we have some more questions, I'll certainly stick around a little bit longer. I'm going to be upgrading and updating my projections on Patreon soon here with the injury news, giving my core plays if you're interested in that. And you can hop in the Discord chat. The other thing is I do offer a Discord chat only package now. So if you don't want to pay the full amount for all of the tools in the package, you can just hop in the Discord, become part of the KJK DFS community, ask me questions in there. It's another option for you. And yeah, it doesn't look like we have any more news. So let's do a little bit of a lineup build on DraftKings a little bit and on FanDuel a little bit. Keep in mind, we're still waiting on some pretty important news here, but we'll just do a little bit of a brain session here. You guys can get an idea. Let's see. So, the first game, not really all that excited about. I talked about it. Philadelphia, Chicago. Getting pretty excited to play some Joel Embiid. Hopefully at some lower ownership than it should be, because I think that's just a matter of time before Joel Embiid absolutely blows up. And there continues to be no Tobias Harris in this game. So I certainly have quite a bit of interest in him. Moving further along, guys I'd be interested in. I really like Jason Tatum and Dennis Schroeder in this Boston-Dallas game. They should both get a big bump up in usage with there being no Jaylen Brown. So I'm certainly going to have a lot of interest in those guys. And then the Atlantic-Phoenix side, we already got some options opening up with JaVale McGee for some value. Now, keep in mind, the only thing that's a little bit scary about playing Joel Embiid is if we get confirmation that Anthony Davis is out, then that's going to make Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan great value plays as well. And we obviously wouldn't have the flexibility to be able to play those guys. So those two guys kind of would become a priority for me, and we could maybe spend our salary elsewhere. So I might want to be holding out and playing those guys in the late game and then being able to adjust, because regardless, you could play an Anthony Davis. So maybe putting an Anthony Davis in your lineup for the late game and then adjusting from there. You're going to have a lot more value in play. Maybe you could pay up for some of those guys in the Atlanta-Phoenix game. But then you still have 5-7 in this lineup build. There's plenty of options to work with: the guard, the power forward, the point guard position with that salary left on the table. So Schroeder, Tatum, Davis, really going to like those guys. Embiid should have plenty of usage with there continuing to be no Tobias Harris. And we should get more value if we get confirmation that Furkan Korkmaz and or Danny Green are out. So that's certainly some big news that we're waiting on. And yeah. Bloomer asks, is McGee a good option for the cost? Yeah, I do think JaVale McGee is a good option. I don't know about his FanDuel price tag, though. I don't know if you're playing on FanDuel or DraftKings. DraftKings, yeah, JaVale McGee's certainly at a good price. I mean, only 4-1 at your center spot. It's not going to take very much for him to pay that off. He'll get you plenty of blocks on FanDuel where you get 3 points per block. And he's pretty cheap. So I certainly have some interest in JaVale McGee for the cost. And we just got confirmation that Kyle Lowry is indeed available to play tonight. So that's obviously some big news. Fernando says, so is he good today, Porzingis? Question mark. Not that I know of. I don't think Porzingis has been ruled out. Or I'm sorry, ruled in yet. Or ruled out. If I'm wrong, let me know. But as we're sitting here right now, he's anticipated to play. And I do think he's a good play. If he's not limited, if we get some confirmation that he's limited and he's on a minutes limit or something, then obviously I'm not going to have as much interest. But for the time being, my projections grade Porzingis out is a great play. I've got him projected for 28 minutes. That's not even that high, I feel like. He could see upwards of 30 minutes possibly. I think that my projection right now is pretty solid. It's probably going to stick right around there. But yeah, I think Kristaps Porzingis is going to be a great play if he returns. Certainly would have interest in him. And if you're just tuning into the live stream and you don't know or you didn't see my video earlier, my lock of the night tonight is Dennis Schroeder. So Dennis Schroeder is my top play on the slate on both the DraftKings and FanDuel. There's no more Jaylen Brown. He should get a big bump up in usage. Should get the starting point guard responsibilities. He should have plenty of on-ball handling responsibilities, and he's too underpriced for the role that he's going to be taking on in the production that he provides. Not to mention, I'm not scared of the Dallas defense. So I have a bunch of interest in Dennis Schroeder tonight. Fernando says, what about Maxey for FanDuel? Yeah, we're waiting on the Furkan Korkmaz news. That's really what I'm waiting on to decide there. He's a good play as is, but if there's no Furkan Korkmaz, it becomes an even better play, and or Danny Green. We already got confirmation that Tybalt's out, though, which is certainly going to open up some more minutes and some more usage. So Maxey at 5.9 on DraftKings. Let's see what he is on FanDuel for you. And we just got confirmation that both Furkan Korkmaz and Danny Green are true game time decisions. So that doesn't help me be able to answer your question. He's only 5'7". So, yeah, I think he's a good play. Like I said, if these guys are out, he would become much easier to play for me. Being that I don't have too much interest in that first game, I think it'd be pretty easy for you to just kind of sit put, not really have anyone in your lineups from that first game, and then be able to react to the news. And that's probably going to be my strategy. If I'm playing anyone from the first game, it's probably going to be one of those Miami guys, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, or Tyler Hero. But I really don't want to be targeting this game, guys. Both teams very good defensively. Both teams are priced pretty appropriately. I would have had a lot more interest if either Donovan Mitchell or Kyle Lowry was ruled out. With that being said, Kyle Lowry on FanDuel continues to just be too underpriced for his possible upside. So if you're playing on FanDuel, I might have to make an exception for Kyle Lowry to get some exposure to him at 5'9". That's just too cheap. All right, guys, let me know if you have any more questions. I think I'm going to stick around till 7. So we're going to call it 7, half an hour before lock. And then I'll go and update my projections, update my core plays, answer any questions that my premium members have in the Discord chat. If you want to hop in and join the KJK DFS community, that's linked below in the description. If you enjoyed the stream so far, please hit the like button. It goes a long way to help me out. Subscribe to the channel as well. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. I'll be here all NBA DFS season long, breaking down these slates, help you guys win some money. That's the goal, of course. We're all trying to win that money and have fun while we do it. So, Fernando says, N. Curry, I'm not really sure what you mean. Bloomer asks, what about Hardaway? I don't like Hardaway quite as much with Kristaps Porzingis returning. I think it's going to impact Hardaway in a negative way. I think that Kristaps Porzingis is going to soak up a lot more usage. So I think that Tim Hardaway is a good GPP play where, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get the greatest performance from him. But is he a priority for me in this slate? Probably not. Not too interested in him. Alvin asked Lonzo. Yeah, I talked about Lonzo earlier. I think Lonzo, it's just a matter of time before he has a big game. But the problem with Lonzo is just he hasn't really been scoring any real-life points. He's just been kind of content to sit back, get his assists, get his rebounds, and the rest of the team's kind of taking over from a scoring category with guys like DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Nikola Vucevic. So I think that Lonzo Ball, until we see his price tag come down a little bit, is a little bit of a sketchy play. He's a good tournament play, but, we need some of these guys to be taken out of this rotation for him to really be an intriguing play. And with that being said, one guy I do think is way underpriced on FanDuel is Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's only 7.9 on FanDuel. So when you're looking at the two sites, I have a lot of interest in Zach LaVine over here on FanDuel in comparison to on DraftKings. I just think he's too cheap at that price tag for his upside. Whereas if you go over to DraftKings and you look at his price tag, it's not nearly as friendly because Zach LaVine is priced at 8.6. So certainly no issues with targeting the upside of Zach LaVine on FanDuel. Patrick asked, Norman Powell still a value play at his price on DraftKings? Yeah, I think that he still is. He's continuing to see a bunch of minutes, and he continues to be underpriced on DraftKings for sure. They really haven't adjusted his price tag accordingly to him being back in the starting role. He's only 4.8. That's too cheap. He's put up 40, 37 DraftKings points the last 2 times out, and he's seen this price tag increase by only 100 on DraftKings. So, yeah, I think he's a tremendous value play on DraftKings for sure, Patrick. Certainly like Norman Powell. All right. Doesn't look like we have anything else really coming out. Unfortunately, we did get confirmation that Danny Green and Furkan Korkmaz are true game time decisions, which means we're going to kind of have to be on high alert until we get the official news on that, because that will impact that Philadelphia rotation quite a bit. If there's no Danny Green, if there's no Furkan Korkmaz, that's going to give a big bump up to a Shake Milton at 4.5. We're also going to have a lot of interest in playing Gorgeous Nyang. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Georges Nyang. would also be a guy that we certainly want to be having some interest in our lineups. And I'm getting excited to play some Dennis Schroeder. I don't know about you guys. Dennis Schroeder, my lock of the night, man. Lock of the night, Dennis Schroeder. Get him in your lineups on FanDuel, on DraftKings. He's going to absolutely smash this price tag tonight at only $6K on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's going to absolutely smash that price tag by an even larger margin at only 5.4. Dennis Schroeder is the play of the night. Make sure you're getting some exposure to him. I'm going to have him in my lineups for sure. Thuggin asks, you off Niang and Milton if Green and Korkmaz play? Yeah, I mean, being that there's no Matisse Thybulle, I still do think that there's quite a bit of an opportunity here to be had for Niang, but Shake Milton would become a lot less of a priority for. So that would be more of a direct correlation with Shake Milton more so than Niang, but don't get me wrong, Niang would get a bigger bump up as well if there is none of those guys in the lineup. So, yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Pretty clear there. Shake Milton, I certainly have a lot more interest in if those guys aren't out. We got 19 likes, guys. If we can get one more, we reach our 20 goal for the first time. It'll be the first time I've gotten 20 likes on a live stream. Just recently started doing these live streams this week. So if we can get to that 20 likes, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'll be here all season long, breaking down these slates. Help you guys win some money, become better NBA DFS players, answer all your questions. Patrick says, I'm excited to play Schroeder too. Yeah, man. Lock of the night. We got to get some Dennis Schroeder in our lineups. He's the play of the night for me. Gonna like him for sure. And I like Jason Tatum a lot too. I said it multiple times, but I don't know if people like not talking about Dennis Schroeder. I mean, I'm sorry, Jason Tatum. Like, is Jason Tatum not being acknowledged around the industry as a great play now with there being no Jaylen Brown? Because I mean, I don't really watch too much other content. I try to sprinkle in a little bit in my free time when I can, mainly to see who other people are talking about so I know where the ownership's going, because sometimes all the content's pushing up one guy and my projections and my personal professional opinion don't align with those, and then I can get an edge that way. But yeah, guys, I mean, Jason Tatum's a great play with there being no Jaylen Brown. This guy's got like literally 70 fantasy point upside. So don't underestimate what Jason Tatum could do with no Jaylen Brown. We've got about 15 more minutes. Please ask any questions that you have in the chat. I'll gladly answer them. FanDuel and DraftKings, let me know what format you're playing. If you're playing cash games, tournaments. If you have some questions about maybe strategy about NBA DFS, I'll gladly answer those as well. Just let me know, and I'll be hanging around for another 15 minutes with you guys. So, any questions you have, let me know. It doesn't look like we have any more news. Bloomer asks Bridges. Yeah, so I'm guessing you mean Mikal Bridges. I think he's the only one on the slate, so Miles Bridges is not on this slate. And on the Suns, certainly with there being no DeAndre Ayton, he gets a little bit of a bump here. But I think I have a lot more interest in Mikal Bridges on FanDuel specifically. He's 5.4 on DraftKings. Let's see. On FanDuel, Mikal Bridges is priced at 5.1. And the reason I have a lot more interest in him on FanDuel is because he traditionally is a guy that's very good at racking up blocks and steals, and you get 3 points for blocks and steals on FanDuel. I talk about it a lot, maybe a lot more than other people do, but the fact of the matter is, if you get a guy that can rack up blocks and steals on FanDuel, that's a big edge to be had. I don't think people factor in blocks and steals enough on FanDuel, so especially people that are accustomed to playing on DraftKings. They come over to FanDuel and they don't realize the scoring difference. There's a big difference on FanDuel in scoring when it comes to that 3 points for blocks and steals, and it's a big edge to be had. So I would not be underestimating the fact that you get 3 points for blocks and steals on FanDuel, because it's a big deal. So yeah, Bridges on FanDuel specifically, I have a little more interest in him on FanDuel than I do on DraftKings. And when I'm looking at my top guys, let's see if he's grading out on my advanced player metrics here on the season for top blocks and steals leaders. It would be under steals if he is. Let's see. Well, on the season so far, obviously it's a young season. We still have a lot more to go here, and as far as sample size, but I'm surprised to announce the top guy as far as steals on the season so far has been Frank Kaminsky. Chris Paul on the Phoenix Suns also grading out as a guy that gets a lot of steals, so I certainly will have some interest in Chris Paul on FanDuel for that nice steals bump. Bloomer J says, dude, you're amazing. Thank you. Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you. And Fernando with the $1 super chat. Thank you, Fernando, man. You are the first guy to grant me with a super chat in the KJK DFS live stream. So thank you. That's awesome. That's a great feeling to get that first super chat. Thank you. I appreciate you. And if you have any questions, further questions, Fernando, please ask them. I'll gladly answer. You can ask immediately. And thanks, man. I really do appreciate that. That's awesome. Glad you're enjoying the content. And yeah, guys, we got about 10 more minutes here on the stream. I'm going to hang around. We're going to be seeing if we get any more news. I highly doubt we're going to. I'm going to be updating my projections here, making my own lineups, updating my core plays on Patreon. If you're interested in some premium content, check it out. That's linked below in the description. You can join the KJK DFS community for a total of $19.99, which I think is a great price, and I think you'll be able to win that back within a night. Without a question. I offer a very simple projection system over here. I'm a very big believer in it. It's a multiplier system. What it does is it goes ahead and it lists... Oh, we do have some news here. Furkan Korkmaz is in. Just popped up. And I think... Yeah, Danny Green's out and Furkan Korkmaz is in. So that's some big news. That's some big news for sure. Furkan Korkmaz becomes a great play. There is no Matisse Thybulle in this game, which is going to open up some wing minutes. So I'm certainly going to have interest in Furkan Korkmaz, and I'm certainly going to have interest in Georges Niang. Those two guys are going to be great value plays for me. There's no Matisse Thybulle. Now there's no Danny Green. Shake Milton, now that Furkan Korkmaz is in, becomes a little bit less of a priority for me. So those two guys specifically I do like for sure. Fernando says, it's all love, man. Keep up the good work. Yes, sir, I will. I'll be here all season long helping you out, man. Try as best as I can. This is not my full-time gig, so if there's times I'm not able to live stream, I apologize, but I have a lot of stuff going on this week. I'm hosting a live event at the Hilton Hotel for a real estate event, so I'm going to have some stuff going on. I might not be able to live stream every night, so apologies for that, but I'm going to live stream as much as possible. Tussler says, Tatum not getting any steam because he has shot the ball terribly to start the year. Something is off with his game so far, kind of like Dame. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Damian Lillard just has such a big sample size of being a slow starter to where I'm willing to say it's just Damian Lillard being Damian Lillard. Jason Tatum, on the other hand, is not that way so far in his career. And I would also argue that although he's shooting terrible, the amount of shot volume that he's going to get with there being no Jaylen Brown now could be enough to easily make him have a big game, even if he doesn't have the best shooting night. So I like him. But also, Tussler, if you're just joining the stream with there being no Jaylen Brown, and you didn't know, and you didn't watch my video earlier, my lock of the night is Dennis Schroeder. So Dennis Schroeder is my favorite play on the slate for his respective price tag and his upside at his price tag on both DraftKings and FanDuel. I love Dennis Schroeder. And I'd be willing to play Jason Tatum. I'd be willing to play Jason Tatum, and I'd be willing to play Joel Embiid, both of which have struggled, both of which should see a big usage increase with certain injuries going on. There's no Jaylen Brown for Boston. There is no Tobias Harris for Philly. Those guys being out are going to increase the usage for both Embiid and Tatum, both of which have struggled, both of which have been killing me, and both of which I'm going to continue to go back to the well on because that's just the way DFS is sometimes. Sometimes you got to just keep taking the shots and the losses until it finally pays off. And when everyone else jumps ship and they say they're sick of playing that guy and that's the one night he goes off and you have him low owned, that's when you win all the money. That's when you can get those big wins. So it's not fun. Trust me. I've lost some money recently because of Mr. Embiid, and I'm probably going to lose some more money tonight because of him, but that's just the game we play. It's the game we play. You got to be able to kind of take it on the chin sometimes, toughen up, and just keep playing them because from a usage aspect, Embiid should be able to have a big game. Juanita asks, Milton or Seth Curry? Seth Curry, and it's not even close for me. I think that with Furkan Kork mats being in, that's going to impact Shake Milton quite a bit. It's not going to impact Seth Curry. Seth Curry is going to continue to be a main rotation guy. Seth Curry continues to shoot the lights out. So I like Seth Curry. I'm hoping you're playing on DraftKings when I'm answering this question. So if you could elaborate on that, I would certainly revisit that question if you're playing on FanDuel, but I would almost guarantee you my answer is going to be the same to that. $23 likes, guys. Thank you. Fernando with the first super chat of the KJK DFS live stream channel. Thank you, Fernando. You the man. I really do appreciate that. It doesn't look like we have any more questions, guys. I'm going to stick around for another 7 minutes or so until 7 with you, so please ask any and all questions. We'll do a little bit of a rerun here on the injury news. We already talked about that Furkan Korkmaz is ruled in. Danny Green has been ruled out. Matisse Thybulle has been ruled out. That's going to open up wing usage for Furkan Korkmaz and Gorgeous Yang, both of which are producing at a high rate. Let's go ahead and look at their usage rates, their point per minute rates while we can here on DraftKings specifically. Going down to their price tags here. Let's see. Georges Niang is producing at a 0.91 DK point per minute clip, almost a DK point per minute when he's on the floor, and now he's going to get more minutes with there being no Thybulle in the lineup. So he's certainly making a bunch of sense to me. And then as far as Mr. Furkan Korkmaz, he's producing at a 0.95 DK point per minute clip. So both those guys producing close to a fantasy point per minute. And, that's what it's all about. Getting those guys that are going to get an increase in their minutes and an increase in production. So certainly like both of those guys. And we got another super chat from Mr. Patrick. Patrick Bush, one of the top supporters on the channel. Patrick is the man. Patrick last night, I'll give him another shout out if he just joined into the stream. He's a premium member of mine. And he was able to turn $12 into $200. That's what I'm talking about, Patrick. So congratulations on that. And thank you for the super chat. He says, thank you for providing the best content. Thank you for all your support, Patrick. And I'm looking to make you some more money tonight. So let's keep it rolling, man. Let's keep it up. We'll be talking about my core plays and any questions you have in the Discord chat in about 5 minutes, Patrick. So make sure you're asking any questions you have for the slate in there. I got you all the way up until lock. Get you some more winning plays. And we just got news that Kristaps Porzingis is available to play. So Kristaps Porzingis will be in tonight. That's certainly going to impact the guys in the Dallas rotation. That's certainly going to make me like Kristaps Porzingis as long as we don't see some news that he's going to be somewhat or severely limited. Definitely going to like some Kristaps Porzingis tonight. For sure. So, yeah. Kristaps Porzingis, that's some big news. That's some big news. And I think he's underpriced for his upside. He's only 7.5 on DraftKings. Specifically on FanDuel, he's grading out as a great play for me at only 7K. So I wouldn't be afraid to play some Kristaps Porzingis if we're going to get him low owned too. He's just got ruled in. Maybe some people are afraid to play him because of his back injury and they don't think he's 100%. But he practiced on Friday, which tends to be a good sign for him. I think he'll be good. I got him projected for 28 minutes. 28 minutes, and he projects as a great play for me on FanDuel still, with somewhat limited minutes. You know, he's a guy that traditionally probably should be playing upwards of 30 minutes when he's healthy, but... is Westbrook a must-play, Alvin asks? Yeah, I really like Russell Westbrook. I do think that he's a bit of a must-play, to be honest with you, because there's no LeBron James, so he's going to continue to see a bunch of usage, especially if we get news there's no Anthony Davis. If we get news there's no Anthony Davis later on in the night, I mean, Russell Westbrook just becomes an absolute smash play. He's going to be relied on so heavily. So I like him a lot as is, and then if we get news Anthony Davis is out, I like him even more. Juanita says, I need a good utility player. Yeah, so Juanita, what I would do if I were you is if you're not playing every one of these early games in your utility spot, your guard, and your forward spot, I would try to keep those flexible so that you can be able to adjust based upon this Anthony Davis news in the late game, because if Anthony Davis gets ruled out, that's going to give a big bump up to Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Kent Bazemore, Dwight Howard, and Avery Bradley. Even maybe a Malik Monk off the bench, that kind of thing for this LA Lakers team. They're going to need scoring, and they're going to have a lot of minutes to be dispersed throughout the rotation. So I don't necessarily think that at this current time you should be locking in your utility player. You should probably have some flexibility there in your lineups. But one thing I would recommend that you do is you get Dennis Schroeder in your lineups, because he's my lock of the night. So get Dennis Schroeder in there. All right, so we just got news that Kristaps Porzingis will start Saturday and will be likely to be limited to no more than 30 minutes. So that's the latest update. I'm going to stick with my projection of about 28 minutes for Kristaps Porzingis, which still makes him grayed out as a pretty good play here. But that's the latest update on him. He's expected to play, and he's expected to be limited to no more than 30 minutes. So that gives us a little bit of an idea of Porzingis. It's a little bit risky because, with that being said, he could be limited to even less than that, but I think I'm willing to take the risk on Porzingis, especially at 7K on DraftKings. 7K on FanDuel. Chris Paul versus Seth Curry. I mean, from a raw fantasy projection aspect, I guarantee it's going to be Chris Paul. I think you're playing on DraftKings, so from a point per upside aspect on, like, you know, how many points they can get at their respective salary on that question. Let's see here who I like more, Chris Paul or Seth Curry was the question. I think I would lean towards going with Chris Paul. But honestly, it's close. They're both kind of close to my projection. I slightly lean Chris Paul. All right, guys, that is going to be all for me for this live stream. It's 7 o'clock. I got to bounce out the door. I got to upgrade my projections, update my projections. I have to do my core plays. If you are interested in my premium content, you get access to the Discord as well. I got to answer some questions in the Discord up until the 7:30 lock. That's linked below in the description. If you enjoyed this stream, if you could please take a moment to leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. 23 likes. That's the first time we broke the 20 like barrier, so I'm hoping to continue to grow this audience. I've really enjoyed interacting with you guys live, so this is a nice little new addition to the channel, doing some more live content. I'm going to be doing this as much as possible. So if you're enjoying it, hit that like button, leave a comment before you head out the door. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight. And thank you very much to Fernando and Patrick. You guys are the 2 first super chatters on this channel. So I want to make it known that I really do appreciate your guys' support. That means a lot to me, for real, because I work hard on this stuff. So the fact that it's being appreciated means a lot. And I look forward to continuing to provide you with value and winning you some money. And that's what this is all about. So let's have some fun tonight. Let's win some money. Let's play some Dennis Schroeder in our lineups. Lock of the night. Get Dennis Schroeder in your lineups. Get excited. Get pumped about it. He's going to go off tonight. And that's all for me, guys. Wish you all the best of luck. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button before you head out if you enjoyed. Good luck tonight, guys. And I am out of here. Peace.